That was a nice wave. Hi everyone, I'll wave too. So I'm Amy and this is Sergio. We both work at NewDay. You probably haven't heard of NewDay itself, but you would have heard of some of our brands. We are one of the largest credit card providers in the UK. We have about 5 million customers. Some of our direct-to-consumer offerings include Aqua, Marbles and BIP, but we do have some partnership credit cards as well with John Lewis, AO, and we've just recently acquired the Argos portfolio, so we're going to be welcoming another 2 million customers early next year over to us. But what I would like to talk to you today is around Gen AI. We were given the task of how could we harness the power of Gen AI, this really exciting technology, into our contact centre to improve our agent and customer experience. So I'm going to take you on a bit of a story, a bit of a journey that we had. So back in February last year, NewDay is a really big fintech company now. And we run an annual hackathon event where we have several teams competing. We get shoved in a hotel for 5 days, work many, many hours to see if we can build a proof of concept to solve certain use cases. The problem statement we were given was, how could we harness Gen AI to improve our contact centre efficiency? We'd done a lot of research out in the market. Do we want to procure something or do we want to try and build it ourselves? And we have very aspirational goals at NewDay. We like to build absolutely everything. So we thought we'd try and give it a go and build it ourselves. So 3 of the main use cases that we felt in the contact centre are the ones that are going to give us the most bang for our buck. Firstly is the live call transcription. So that's going to unlock a lot of Gen AI capabilities. So we focused on that. That's going to improve the agent performance and not having to ask the customer to repeat themselves. And by doing that live transcription, that's going to enable you to do your auto note summarisation at the end of the call as well, so improving that wrap-up time so that the agent can get available onto their next call. But the one that we felt was the most powerful was around knowledge. So we know that for contact centre agents, their jobs are really, really difficult. So our customer service agents, in particular, have 190 different processes. I still can't get my head around quite a lot of those. It's a very complicated job and we can't expect them to remember everything and be able to answer every query straight away. So NewDay, we have a knowledge team. They sit there, they write new articles, but it's in a kind of Google style search engine. We did a bit of a time and motion exercise and it was taking, on a good run, about 90 seconds for the agent to find the article, find the answer that they need. So that's good success story. However, if they couldn't find the answer, they would then call up one of their colleagues. We had like a helpline, and that could be minutes while that customer sat on hold. And we know from a customer perspective, from an experience point of view, it's one of the most infuriating things, sitting on hold while you're waiting to get an answer for something. So we felt the knowledge bit was the bit we really wanted to tackle. So we worked very hard over those 5 days, didn't we, Sergio? Building this proof of concept and managed to deploy a solution that delivered all of those 3 things. So we presented it back to the business, big competition, we actually won it, and it was all very, very exciting. So the next stage was, okay, well, that was all great. How can we get that into production and get that out to the whole contact centre? And this is where we came across a few challenges. So the first was looking at our sort of existing infrastructure. We had no speech-to-text capabilities, and actually to implement that with our existing tech would have been really, really difficult and ultimately very, very expensive. It was going to cost us about £200,000 just to transcribe all of our calls real time. So that wiped out quite a lot of my benefits that I'd forecasted for this solution. What we also found was, because of the complexity of what we were trying to design, it meant that we had lots of dependencies within the business, and NewDay is an incredibly fast-moving company. We have a lot of competing projects, and our little New Assist Gen AI project was not going to stack up against these other projects, so it would never have got prioritised and get these teams all lined up. So ultimately, the exec team went, no thank you, we don't want to invest £200,000 in unproven technology and potentially disrupt the rest of the timeline on other projects.
So the question then became, how do we move on and overcome those challenges? The first thing we did was to change our goal from trying to productionize an end-to-end voice to agent assist to validate our knowledge base. So for context, the knowledge base solution is where you store your knowledge articles, PDFs, documents, pages, and so on. And what we wanted to do was to understand whether or not the current solution we had been using at the time was fit for purpose to be integrated in our AI system and the overall AI strategy. This allowed us to also rescope the solution from a speech-to-text agent to a chatbot, as you're going to see in a bit. And this literally removed all the dependencies. We didn't have to embed speech-to-text anymore. We didn't have to spend $200K per year. And we didn't have to rely on loads of different teams to make this happen. So we managed to form a small cross-functional team of 3 people, each one of us working 50% of the time, as a sort of side hustle. And we targeted accuracy as the main metric, which means that out of 100 questions, we wanted this chatbot, this POC, to answer at least 80 questions. So we wanted to get at least 80% accuracy. From a cost perspective, we also managed to do our experimentation just with a cost of a little bit less than $400 per month. So compared again to the 200K, it was a pretty good outcome for the business, I would say. We structured our experimentation phase across 10 weeks. And in these 10 weeks, we managed to execute 8 experiments. Now, each experiment here is represented through a build, measure, learn feedback loop. And the output of each phase of each experiment is provided as input to the next one. So we did those many iterations in a really fast way, and what we got was an increase in over 30% from a baseline 6% of accuracy to over 80%. So we ticked the boxes, and what happened, Amy?
We got approval from our executive team that we could roll this out to a small pilot group to see if we could improve that accuracy. So whilst it was great that we'd managed to get it to 80% in 10 weeks, long-term 80% accuracy isn't going to set the world on fire, and we were certainly not going to be comfortable with 20% of the time potentially giving wrong information to customers either. So we needed to do a really controlled proof of concept to see if we could expand our experimentation out, but also enable us to move at pace to try and get that accuracy even higher. Now I'll just go back again actually. So this is the UI that we built. It was really simple. We just tried not to spend loads of time trying to over-engineer this and just keep this really straightforward so we could help with agent adoption. So I asked the question of how can customers view their statements online, and within 3 seconds, I've managed to retrieve the answer. So going back to beforehand when the agents were having to manually search for this, on a good day, we're looking 90 seconds. So the solution is connected in the back end to our knowledge base via API. And as Sergio said, it was really important that we tested that because our long-term Gen AI strategy, we needed to ensure that our knowledge base was going to be fit for purpose for this. So if it wasn't, then we needed to think about that as a longer-term strategy as well. But we were pleased to confirm that it was all working as intended. We've really focused as well on the structure of the answers, making it a real digestible, step-by-step guide for the agents to be able to relay that information to customers. And we also produce a hyperlink of all of the articles that it's referred to generate that answer. So should the agent need some further information, they can either ask another question or they can just literally click that hyperlink, and that's going to take them straight to the article. So they haven't got to think, oh, I don't know what article it's used, and having to try and manually find that. So trying to just make this as easy as possible for the agent. We also built a feedback mechanism in there as well. It's really important for us to be able to track the accuracy. So it's a mandatory thing. The agent cannot ask another question until they've given feedback on this previous one, which is great. So we get 100% response rate on whether it was good or bad. And they do have the option to leave a comment on what could we have done to improve that answer. So we moved to pilot phase in October. So within the space of 2 months of us getting approval, going, yeah, as long as it's not going to take too much of your time up, you can dabble in it and see if you can build something. Within 2 months, we'd done all those experiment rounds, and they were like, okay, yeah, you can give it to some agents and let's see how this performs. So we picked our 10 most experienced agents because, like we said, we were at 80% accuracy. I needed those agents to identify when the model was potentially hallucinating or misunderstanding the information. So it was really important. They needed to be able to identify that. And we encouraged them on all of your calls, just keep asking questions into the solution so we can test all the different process and knowledge areas. We focused on 3 main things. So firstly, we were tracking the model accuracy as we were during our experimentation rounds. We were monitoring from a customer perspective. We were not seeing any reduction in NPS scores, and then from an agent perspective, looking at the handle time and the hold times, just to see if we're starting to see a positive improvement in that. In terms of the pilot team, we met with them on a weekly basis, and our little project team, we grew ever so slightly just to help with the volume. We were reviewing all of the negative feedback and all of the comments that were left, and we were completing root cause analysis on every single one of them. So why did the model not give the correct answer the first time? Was it because maybe there was jargon? We've all got internal jargon. It's like a whole different language at NewDay. So we needed to educate the model on, well, what does this acronym mean? How do agents actually type that into the system? So we had to teach it all of that, didn't we? It could be actually we didn't have that article in our knowledge base at all. So our knowledge team would then go and create an article, or maybe the quality of the article wasn't good enough and we needed to optimize that. So that really helped us with improving our accuracy. And in January, we sought approval to roll it out to the whole contact centre. We were exceeding over 90% accuracy at that point. So the executive team said, yep, we're happy to invest in it and roll it out. So we did a controlled rollout up until the end of March. So we now have 160 agents on it, and we have plans by the end of the year to get our entire contact centre team on it. They obviously have different knowledge bases, so we have to do a pilot and a controlled rollout in those areas. But yeah, these were the April results, so our first month of everybody using it. Our team have incredible customer satisfaction results anyway. They generally average between 9.3 and 9.4, but in April they absolutely smashed and set a new all-time record of 9.5 out of 10, which is just exceptional. In terms of the model performance, putting 160 more agents on it, we were thinking was going to slow the performance of the system down, but it didn't. 4.7 seconds on average it's taking for them to get the answer, which is really important. We don't want them sitting there in silence with the customer waiting for the Gen AI to give them a response. We're already seeing a positive reduction in hold time and handle time. We're now closer to the 20% mark, and as we're going through that embedding phase, we're expecting that to come down even more. And the helpfulness rating, so the thumbs up, thumbs down, we're sitting at about 93% for April. In May, we're sitting at over 95% with agent adoption at an all-time high. The feedback that we've had from the agents has been phenomenal. We did get some apprehension at the beginning. Oh, is Gen AI going to take my job away? Are you going to make lots of people redundant? And absolutely not. They absolutely love this solution. They understand the value that it adds to their interactions with their customers, and they don't have that worry and apprehension of, am I going to get asked something and I don't know what the answer is and I'm going to have to go away and try and find the answer out. Having that confidence that they've got this tool at their fingertips to help them on those more tricky calls has really helped with all the metrics that we see in the contact centre.
So the story has finished. However, I would like to scratch the surface of Gen AI a little bit more and talk to you about a set of groundbreaking experiments that we did and that were focused around data quality. And here is just a way for us to maybe let you understand how important data quality is. So can you raise your hand if you've ever heard the quote, garbage in equals garbage out? Amy, I know you do.
Sorry. No, I have to, yeah.
Well, that's great. So if you prepend the word data to both sides of the equation, you get data garbage in equals to data garbage out. What this means, especially in the AI space, is that whatever, so regardless of how fancy and good and advanced and complex your AI agent or AI solution is, as long as the data that you feed into it is garbage, the output will be so. And we experienced that on our own skin, in my skin, because I was developing all this stuff. And to give you some context, so when you create an AI solution that chats with your data, the first thing you have to do is to take your knowledge base and do a bit of data processing. So you have to manipulate the data so that it's compatible with your model. At the very beginning, this is what we could achieve. This was the data that we would feed into our LLM, into our AI, and I would call this garbage. And indeed, if you remember, what we got at the beginning was 60% accuracy. So there was a direct correlation between the quality of the data and the output. We then spent a lot of time, about 80% of the experimentation phase, and still spending a lot of time on the data quality, and augmented our data processing logics to get an output that looks like this. Now, the ones at the back can't really read it, but I can tell you it's English and everyone can read it. So does an AI solution. And when we got this kind of output, then the accuracy started skyrocketing until we got 80% in the first phase, 90% in the second phase, 95% in the, at the moment. And this leads us to the key takeaways. The first one, as I just mentioned, is data quality. If you're new in your AI journey and you're looking at solutions, you're looking to buy or to build, regardless of that, put a lot of effort and investment in data quality. You want that to be spot on. You want to be that as high as quality as possible. The second takeaway is experiment like a startup. So Gen AI is just 3 years old. It's very, very young. Best practices are not really the best at the moment. So, and the market is changing really rapidly. So you want to experiment fast. You want to fail fast and get to very quick results that at the beginning will likely to be not good enough, but then the more you iterate, the more you experiment, the faster you are, the sooner you get to the result you want. And finally, leverage one source of truth. And this, in a nutshell, means that when you go and look for any article and you search for anything, you don't want to get 5 different results that all say the same thing, but that speak in different ways. So you get confused, so does an AI solution. So you want to make sure you get one and only one source of the truth. One document, that's what it says. You don't get the information redundant, duplicated on other sources. So I hope our journey helped you a little bit on your side, and the other thing we can say is good luck with your AI journey. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.